Welcome to the Running Back Podcast, where we run back everything from the 80s and 90s. I'm Jason.
I'm Sarah.
And today we're running back the movie Scream from 1996.
It's a long one.
The movie's not that long.
The movie's not long. The movie's an hour and 50 minutes, but this podcast is going to be long because I got a lot to say. I wrote a lot of stuff. I took like twice as many notes as I've taken on any other movie we've watched.
So, like always, we've watched the movie already. We've taken notes. As we talk about it now, it's on mute in the background.
It is also 1:33 a.m.
Nobody needs to know that.
I feel like they do. I feel like in case this goes awry, they need to know it's 1:30 in the morning.
Anyway, movie opens up on Drew Barrymore's character, Casey, popping her Jiffy Pop, which makes a second appearance in the podcast.
You do love you some Jiffy Pop.
Not really. It just, I just pointed out. So she gets a phone call, and it's the killer.
The killer.
So she answers her landline house phone for blind people. Did you see the numbers on that thing?
No, I was just busy looking at the cord.
Two of those buttons were a Nokia brick. The second time I went back, I noticed more. The phone base is gray with black buttons. The receiver is black. The cord from the receiver to the phone is white, and you would not own that phone.
No, I wouldn't have.
No, there's just too many...
It's too much happening.
Too much happening.
I need symmetry.
Or at least, not really symmetry, but uniformness.
Uniformity?
Uniformity, there you go. That's a word, too.
Yeah, yours wasn't.
So she's on her
she gets a phone call.
The second time.
She gets a phone call, and she says it's the wrong number and hangs up. And then they call back and say, they just want to apologize for the wrong number, but they just keep calling. And it just keeps getting creepier and creepier. He asked what her favorite horror... She was popping popcorn, and she said she was going to watch a movie. It was a scary movie. And he asked what her favorite scary movie was, and it was Halloween, where he stalks the babysitters. She asked what his favorite horror movie was, and she said, let me guess, it's Nightmare on Elm Street. And then she said all the sequels sucked, which I thought was funny because Wes Craven did this movie, and he did Nightmare on Elm Street, but he didn't do the sequels. And
that's why I meant to look that
and
up.
He was upset with most of the sequels, so he got him a jab in there.
No, I remember me liking the sequels better, but I probably because in the original you got everything kind of starts out slow because you got to get a little bit of the backstory, but by the sequels you know what's going on. They get a little more extra.
I'm pretty sure I've only ever seen the first one.
Why, you don't remember the little girl on the tricycle?
No, I've definitely only ever seen the first one because, as we'll talk about next week, I have some deep-seated issues.
Are you throwing spoilers out there?
We're throwing Sarah's traumatic childhood spoilers.
That comes at the end. So, the second time she's about to burn her Jiffy Pop, she just lets it fucking burn. It gets creepy because he says, I want to know who I'm looking at, or what?
He keeps asking what her name is, and she won't tell him, and she said, why? He said, because I want to know who I'm looking at.
And she's like, wait, what? And he's like...
And she starts locking doors.
What did he say after that?
Who I'm talking to. Why? What did you think I said?
So she goes to the house, starts locking the 17 doors to this house.
Right. Most of which were made of glass.
So, I mean, if at that point, if anybody's wanting to get in, it's the locking the doors not really keeping them out as so much as becoming an alarm system for you. So I don't disagree with her locking the doors.
Alright.
But I do disagree with her just instant panic and ugly crying from the get-go.
I don't know. It's not really from the get-go. It's after he says he wants to play a game.
But I mean, instantly, she just ugly cries.
And he tells her to turn on the patio light, and he has her boyfriend all tied up out there, duct taped to a chair. Then she kind of gets a little hysterical, and he makes her turn the light off and answer his scary movie questions. He asked first, he said... I'll even give you a practice question. Who's the killer in Halloween? You said it was your favorite. And you said Michael Myers. And then he said, okay, now for the real question, who's the killer in Friday the 13th? And she just blurts out Jason. And he says she's wrong. And she starts yelling at him that she's right. It's Jason. I saw it 20 times. It's Jason, but it's not.
Because we saw it last week.
It is Jason's mother
Mrs. Voorhees.
And if you recall, somebody in the review portion of that podcast was very upset that Scream spoiled Friday the 13th for them.
But at that point, that Friday the 13th is
16 years old when this came out. Yeah. And then he gave her a bonus question of what door am I at?
So she's still kind of refusing to play the game and doesn't want to do it. So he chucks a chair through the patio door, which she's kind of standing to the side of, and she takes off.
Right, because if he's at that door, she can run out the other door.
And she runs through the kitchen. At this point, now through this whole thing, I'm going to point out all the right things and all the wrong things people did.
When you're in a panic, though.
The wrong thing she did on the phone was she was letting her popcorn burn. And she just left it burn when she got aggravated that it was calling again. But the right thing she did when she went back through, the popcorn is lighting on fire. Like, the flames are igniting, but she leaves it. Right. And I was like, that's actually a good call, because the fire burning down your house may also kill this dude.
But she also grabs a knife out of the knife block on the table. So she was armed. I feel like we should mention that when she got the Friday the 13th question wrong, they killed her boyfriend.
Yeah,
who I believe his name was Steve.
He was Steve.
He wasn't particularly important.
He was our first Rip Steve.
They said that he got that part because he auditioned for Billy and didn't get it. And they're like, hey, man, you can be the guy we tie to a chair that has 0 lines and dies in the first 5 minutes. What do you think? Your
audition went so well, we don't want you to fucking talk.
Yeah.
We're going to put you in a chair. And we're going to duct tape your mouth shut because we think we like you that way.
Right. But I bet you go bleed real good, boy.
So, she has the cordless phone still. When she ran through the kitchen, she grabbed a knife out of the butcher block. She sneaks outside. Now, this is the point where originally I was like, she has no confirmation that dude ever went inside, right?
Yeah, she does. Before she goes outside, she sees him run through.
Does she?
It happened just now.
I didn't think she
saw
it until she went outside.
I just watched it happen.
And the whole time I was like, she's going to run. Now, let me say, I have only ever seen clips of this movie. I never watched it until today. I thought I had, but I hadn't.
What? You've been telling me for a week how much you hate this movie and how it's so unwatchable and it's awful and you hate it.
I never called it unwatchable.
And now you're telling me you never have seen it?
I said I knew from the get-go I wasn't going to like it.
Here's the thing. I like it. I've seen it a lot. I asked you before we started if you remembered who the killer was.
And I said no, because apparently I've never seen the movie. I've just seen clips of the movie.
But you didn't tell me that. You just said, no, I don't remember. It's been a while since I saw it.
And I really kind of thought I had. So I kind of thought I had seen the movie, but I hadn't.
Apparently.
So at this point, I'm thinking she's going to run the house. She has that stupid-ass phone with her. He's going to call it.
Well, she's still on the phone.
I don't know why she didn't hang up and dial 911 and just don't talk to him. So he runs out of the house and he actually gets her and stabs her in the chest.
Right.
But not really deep enough
to hit the heart. She's still alive. He gets on top of her. He's choking her out. And eventually she kicks him in the nuts. He falls off. Right. She sees her parents get out of the car. Home. They're walking in.
But he has stabbed her in the throat and her vocal cords.
No, he stabbed her in the chest. He choked her.
I thought he actually got her. So she's having trouble talking. No. She should have chucked that fucking phone at the porch.
That's what I thought.
Right there.
She has that phone in her hand, and she could have definitely hit her mom in the head with it.
She might still die, but this movie becomes a different movie. She chucks that phone on the porch, and they turn and look.
Yeah.
Because they don't find their daughter here in a minute hanging from a tree disemboweled.
Well, they go in the house, and it's in disarray, and the popcorn's burning on the stove, and there's a door through the patio, or there's a chair through the patio door, and the mom goes to call 911, but the phone's still connected, so she can hear her daughter dying.
Yeah.
And the husband gives her the keys to the car and tells her to go next door and call the police. And as she steps outside, they've hung her daughter from a tree, and she's all disemboweled.
And that's probably one of the most unbelievable parts of the movie is how fast
she got to the tree.
Like how fast Steve got kind of flayed open from the middle.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Steve wasn't really a detailed job. He was just like cut up in the middle and kind of looked like somebody reached in and pulled some stuff out and then ran. But still, he did it too fast to be believable. And he strung her from a tree.
Now, you keep
Really
saying
quick.
he, but you have no gender for this killer.
How dare I assume Ghostface Killer?
We weren't talking about who.
Oh.
We weren't talking about who the killer was in Friday the 13th last week. We were doing so good. Except when I edited it, I noticed that every time we said she. Anytime we referred to the killer, we were like, and then she.
I don't think so.
We did.
We did. Anyway, so the killer is quick. So it cuts to Sydney, played by Nev Campbell. Sydney's in a room typing up some stuff on Microsoft 3.11.
Isn't Sydney's room a little too preteen? Like, she's in this little nightgown, but her room's just very, I guess, virginal white and pink, and there's, like, teddy bears. Hey, plays into the movie.
Okay. So she's in the house. Her boyfriend sneaks up and kind of scares her through the window.
Right.
And she kind of screams. She hears her dad walking around the hallway or up the stairs. Mm-hmm. When her dad goes to open the door, she used her closet door to block it.
Right.
Before he could come
Right,
in.
and she has for a long time because there's a mark on the back of her actual door where the closet door often
and
is
that
used to
happens
block
in
it.
one of our rooms upstairs. So immediately when I saw it, I was like, "That's a good idea."
I guess it does, though.
But I didn't see this on the first run through. But her dad's going out of town. He's giving her the rundown. You know, there's money on the table. I'm going to be here. I'll be back this time. He goes away. Billy's still in the room.
Right. Billy's her boyfriend, played by Skeet Ulrich. Such a crazy name.
Oh, Skeet Ulrich?
Yeah.
Well, let me tell you what. Old Billy Skeet Ulrich was thinking about nothing but skeeting. Because all he could do was try to coerce her into having sex. He was like, let's just do some over-the-clothes stuff. And I was like, what is this nonsense?
He was peer pressuring his way into them panties hardcore.
And she's got the bangs and the scrunchie.
Oh, yeah. Hey, I have a scrunchie on right now.
So, old Billy Blue Balls just wants some real bad.
Well, he climbs through her window and he says, I was home, I was watching The Exorcist, and it made me think of you. And she said, huh? And he said, yeah, it was the TV edited version, and that's what we're like now. It was like, we used to be hot and heavy 2 years ago, but now we're just edited for TV.
So he references the 2 years ago, and then something happens, so we'll find out that in a minute.
Yeah.
But they do the, I guess, over-the-clothes stuff. He reaches down.
A little light petting.
Grabs her leg and tries to go up. She stops him. Tells him he's got to go. She's got shit to do. But on the way out, he was like, she goes, would you settle for a PG-13 relationship? And she flashes it.
Right.
He calls her a tease.
But as he's leaving, she's like, thank you for the romantic gesture. And I'm like, romantic gesture? He came over to talk shit about you and how you used to want to give some up, but now you won't, and you're just a tease, and your relationship's edited for TV, and watching The Exorcist made him think of you.
And he's just got that sleazy look to him.
He does. He was 90s hot, which I think I told you the other day, that he was 90s hot. Like, in the 90s when it came out, I was like, oh, that guy's kind of hot. But now, he looks a little skanky, and he gives me the creeps so bad I'm going to have nightmares about Skeet Ulrich.
Like he doesn't want to commit to being a greaser, but it's just, his hair's like naturally greasy and kind of stringy a little bit.
Yeah, but he terrified me throughout the entire movie.
He's very sketchy.
Scary, yeah.
So,
next day they're at school.
They got, the police are there because two of the kids have died, which I thought was kind of weird. Like, those two kids died, so you kind of quarantine off the school a little bit.
Well, they're doing interviews,
but they also
of the entire student body.
But it opens up. You're outside of school. You see all the policemen. You see the news people and all that.
Right. Old Sydney has no idea what's going on.
The first thing I noticed after his old Principal Fonz is, I guess, helping the police conduct these interviews, and they're telling them what students they want to call in.
Did you notice that Reagan from The Exorcist is one of the reporters here?
I did not. I thought all the reporters were fucking scumbags.
All the reporters are awful. But a lot of reporters in real life are also awful.
I guess. So the police they telling the principal who they want to interview. they call Sydney in because I guess they were friends.
I think they're just calling everybody.
Seemed like, well, you kind of learned they call her in because of something that happened in the past. But after her interview, they cut to her boyfriend Billy Blue Balls. Matthew Lillard's character Stu. Tatum is Rose McGowan.
And Randy.
Randy is Jamie Kennedy.
Yeah.
Alright, so they are sitting on this fountain.
Right.
But it is fucking Scooby-Doo. Like, they're not their characters in relation to each other are not the characters, but you got Billy, who is kind of Frank. No.
Who the fuck's Frank? Fred?
Fred. Billy, who is Fred. Sydney's Wilma. Am I right on that?
I don't know. Keep going. We'll see where you get there.
Then you got Stu is dead on for Shaggy. Tatum is she just kind of has the skirt and the sweater, kind of like Velma. And then Jamie Kennedy's like the dog. He's just Scooby.
Well, I have 2 points. One, Tatum reminded me of Scooby-Doo later when they're at the party and she has on like the green sweater. But number 2, Matthew Lillard played Shaggy in like all the Scooby-Doo movies,
Matthew
right?
Lillard plays Shaggy in every fucking movie he does. He's terrible. He's fucking terrible. That's why we've never seen him today.
Terrible.
I need somebody to point out a movie where he doesn't play that dude. He's that dude every time. All the mannerisms, all the way he talks. That's fucking Shaggy. Every single one of them. I'm
sure he's been in other stuff, but all that's coming to mind is this, Hackers, and Scooby-Doo.
And he played Shaggy in all of them. He's the weird pothead of the group. He's always hungry.
I'm just doing a quick Google of Matthew Lillard here.
So, but that whole scene, like, not so much once the scene starts, but when they're out, they show him sitting by the...
What about 13 Ghosts?
13 Ghosts? I don't remember that one.
Yeah, you do. In the glass house, you have to have the special glasses to see the ghosts.
I don't remember his
He was pretty good in that one.
So, sitting out by the fountain, and they're all talking about 2 people getting hacked up, and you could kind of tell Sydney's getting visibly uncomfortable.
Well, Stu's really being a dick about it. He's talking about how the police ask if they hunt because they were, like, disemboweled. And she's like, how could somebody even disembowel somebody? And instead of like, man, I don't know, that's awful, that person's real fucked up, he's like explains physically how it's done. Yeah, he has zero tact.
So Jamie Kennedy starts on and on and on. He's like the horror movie aficionado of the group. And then who said liver alone first? Was it Stu?
I think so.
Liver, because there was a rumor that Casey's liver was left in the mailbox. He's like, come on, man, liver alone. I thought that was funny.
See, a second ago, you were hating on old Stu.
But in general, that's the character he plays. So, cuts to Sydney getting off the bus and going home. Obviously, she's alone because her dad's gone. She makes a call to Tatum. She packs her stuff. Tatum says she's going to be late. She'll be there around 7. Because Sydney doesn't want to stay alone. It's deja vu all over again. Yeah. At that point, I was like, okay, what?
All the cops and cameras.
Happened?
This is interesting because you apparently never seen this movie. This is interesting. Seeing you see it for the first time.
And this is my brain working through it. So immediately,
here's the thing: we've definitely watched this together. I've definitely made you watch this. Did you just tap out?
You have never made me watch this.
I think I've wanted to watch it, and you
wanted to, and I've always
said no, and I probably watched it by myself.
Bro,
rude.
So she chills out on TV, waiting for 7 o'clock. News. She's skimming through some channels. The news comes on and kind of tells you the backstory. Her mother was raped and murdered a year ago.
Oh, Gail Weathers, played by Courtney Cox, is on TV telling the story about how this isn't the first time there was murders in Woodboro, that her mom was raped and murdered a year ago. Well, a year ago tomorrow. Sydney lays down on the couch and falls asleep. She turns off the TV. She lays down on the couch and falls asleep. She wakes up to the phone ringing, and you're kind of freaked out. But it's Tatum telling her she's going to be late. She's going to run by the video store. She'll be there in a little bit. And then the phone rings again.
And it's the killer. Dun, dun, dun.
He tells her that he's outside.
Yeah, and I got a
And
problem
she
with what
said,
happens next.
I call your bluff, and unlocked that shit and went outside and left the door
Not only did
open.
she unlock it, there's the deadbolt and then the chain. She unlocked the chain. She walked outside.
She walked outside and left the door open, yeah.
So 2 things you can never do.
Okay.
Leave the door open.
I mean, Randy told me there was a bunch of things I can't do.
Hey, I'm going to fucking kill you. I'm outside. If you just want to roll out here and make it easy for me, whatever. So, no, dumb bitch went outside.
She did.
But, killer gets inside. Her first move was a leg sweep that knocked him down.
Well, she thought it was just Randy playing a joke. And she said, I'm hanging up now. And he said, if you hang up, you'll die just like your mom. And then she turned around and he was in the house.
Yeah. So she sweeps the leg, but she got knocked down. Then she sweeps the leg, and knocks him down.
On the phone,
it down.
Earlier on the phone, while she's talking to him, he asked what her favorite scary movie is, and she said, I don't watch that shit. And they said, oh, are you too scared? And she said, no, but it's just always some
girl running up the stairs when she should run.
Some big-breasted woman running up the stairs when she should be running out of the house.
That's what I just said.
Yeah. I'm just saying.
So, and then obviously what happens is she ran inside and locked the door before he pops out. So when she tries to run back out, the chain's on the door. She struggles with it a little bit. She decides she doesn't have time for that.
So she runs up the stairs. Yeah.
She runs into her room and
does that closet trick.
The closet trick where her closet door is all the way open against the door, and the doorknob basically locks the door like 6 inches open. So he's struggling to get in. She crawls out the window.
Well, she tries to call 911, but the phone's still connected to the other phone she was on. So she dials 911 on her computer somehow. I'm still not exactly sure how that happened. And she crawls out her window. He pushes his way in the room and grabs her arm.
And that's when Billy shows up.
No, I'm completely wrong. That's a different time she crawls out. She runs in her room. She's trying to call 911. She looks out her window to crawl out of it, and Billy pops through the window he did earlier. Excuse me.
So immediately what the fuck is Billy doing here?
Well, she didn't. Immediately, she just grabbed him and was like, oh my God, thank you, somebody's here, oh my God. And then she was like...
The cell phone popped out of his pocket.
His cell phone fell out of his pocket. He's like, hold the fuck on a minute.
Yeah, so she runs out.
He downstairs.
Tries to run after her. Then
she opens the front door and there's the ghost face mask, but it's Deputy Dewey holding it. He's like, I found this. So they've clearly stripped off their stuff. So she's like, oh, it's 100% fucking Billy.
Yeah. So they cuff Billy, put him in the car, and he's yelling I'm not the killer, whatever. Then you got.
So at this point in the movie, you said you haven't seen it.
At this point,
in the movie, is Billy the killer?
Is Billy the killer? But I also went, it's never the first person.
Okay.
So, you got the news reporter shows up. I guess they were listening to police scanner, whatever. News reporter shows up. She's trying to figure out if Sydney was in the police car that drove off. Sydney's friend Tatum is out there. Basically tells... You could tell something was up because she was pretty hostile to the news reporter.
Right.
But immediately you could tell that Gail Weathers is definitely a bitch.
Oh, yeah.
From the get-go.
Yeah. Courtney Cox actually, begged for the role because she wanted to show people that she didn't always have to be so nice like she was in Friends. And they didn't want to give it to her because she was that, nice, bubbly, cheerful character. She's like, no, I can be a bitch. Please just let me be a bitch.
But I'm Billy Booball's got caught because his cellular... What were you doing with that cellular phone?
Yeah, he's like, everybody has one. And I was like, not in 1996, bro.
So Billy's at the police station with, I guess, his dad.
Yeah, he keeps screaming, call my dad, call my dad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, there's all the news stations out front.
But they're interrogating Billy, and he's just turned around backwards in his chair, looking through the window at Sydney. It's kind of creepy.
Yeah, he's definitely sketchy the whole way through.
Yeah.
Deputy Dewey Decimal had to figure out where the mask came from.
Right.
And he was like, they sell this at every five and dime in the state. And I was like, it's 1996. They don't say Father Dom anymore.
They might.
No.
Did you see the costume was called Father Death, even though the killer ends up being the Ghostface Killer?
Ghostface Killer.
Because Wu-Tang's for the kids.
Wu-Tang is for the kids. So, old Deputy Dewey Decimal goes to sneak the girls out the back door because the whole media circus out front.
Right. But Gail's too smart for that shit.
Yeah, she's like, in there, back door somewhere. So they go around the back door. Dewey goes to, I guess, get the car. Yeah. I guess it was too far for the girls to walk.
He said, I'll get the car, stay right here, don't make a noise.
So as he's going to get in the car, that's when old Gail Weathers rounds the corner. She's trying to get Sydney to talk to her, and Sydney's like, yeah. What does Sydney say to her?
She asked her how her book's going. And she said, oh, it's great, it'll be out next month. I'll send you a copy. And Sydney just punches her in the face. So apparently she was writing a book about her mom's death.
Well, it ended up being about the death and the trial.
Right.
But you'll kind of figure out why the animosity in a little bit. So
Sydney takes her, Dewey is Sydney's brother.
Dewey is
Tatum's brother. Excuse me, I just misspoke. So Dewey takes Sydney and Tatum to their house. And she's going to spend the night with Tatum. Or the weekend. Because they can't find her dad.
Yeah.
Like, they called the hotel he's supposed to be at. Like, they cannot find her dad.
Yeah. So, the next day at school, because who goes to school? You can't miss school.
It's not the next day. That night, while she's at Tatum's house, while they have Billy in custody, the killer calls Sydney at Tatum's house.
Yeah, I missed it.
And says, you have the wrong guy again. You told the cops it was the wrong guy again. So we find out that she told the cops who killed her mom, but apparently got it incorrect.
Yeah. This implies that the killer
can't be Billy.
Either one knows who killed the mom or is the killer of the mom.
Right, but also more importantly, it can't be Billy, so they let him go.
So, and Billy's phone came back
clean
that he didn't make those calls from his phone.
Right, but you see on the news, they have the news story about Cotton Weary there.
So
Cotton was the one that's in prison for killing her mom.
For raping and
killing her mom.
So the next day at school, all the news cameras there, and there's one lady there who's just like, who will be next? And I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, you got 2 people dead, you got 1 more for a spree, and you're like, who will be next? Like, with excitement. So, it was just bad.
Reporters are kind of awful sometimes, though.
So you find out Sydney sees Gail's truck, walks up to her, tells her she's not there to fight. She wants to talk to her off the record. It comes out that, Sydney's testimony is what put this Cotton Weary away.
Right.
For raping and killing Sydney's mother. The newswoman's like, I think you figured the wrong guy again. So her whole theory was Cotton Weary was wrongly convicted of Sydney's mother's murder and is about to be put to death.
Right.
Over an incorrect conviction.
Right. Said that he was framed, that he was having sex with Sydney's mom.
Yeah.
And that he had left his jacket at her house, and then whoever killed her got the blood all over it. She saw them leave.
With that jacket.
With the jacket on, but it wasn't him, and then they planted it back in his car.
Yeah.
They go into the school, and there's just a bunch of assholes, which it seems so weird. Like, a bunch of your classmates died, so let's go all buy the costume and run around the school wearing the costume.
I could definitely see that happening.
You think?
Oh, yeah.
It seems like such a dick-ass move.
Oh, yeah. Well, the problem is in high school, you have half the people probably think of that idea, and they probably chuckle in their head. A couple people are actually dumb enough to actually do it.
I guess.
But
she's, startled by the costume, and she runs away. Everybody goes to class, and then as she rounds the corner, there's Billy. Fresh from getting out of jail, still has the ink on his fingers from being fingerprinted. All creepy as hell. And still, all he wants to talk about is how she's not having sex with him.
So, at this point, I wrote Billy is dumb as fuck.
He's like, is it seriously easier for you to accuse me of murder than touch me?
Yeah.
I was like,
basically
what
tells
the
her
shit?
She needs to get over the death of her mother.
Yes.
And I was just like, wow. Billy, needs to jack off and rethink his whole situation.
She was like, my mother was murdered. And he was like, yeah, like a year ago. It's time to get over it. He was like, my mom left home. I got over it. She's like, she's living somewhere else. She's not in a casket somewhere. Like, he's a lot to deal with.
You're going to have to refresh my memory because I wrote down principal killer, ? I forget what old Fonz did. Let's go back. Rewind to the interviews when he was like, here, Sydney will tell you everything she knows. And he grabs her chin real weird. Like motherfucker, you grab my chin like that, I'm punching you in your dick.
It was weird how he was holding her chin.
Like, that irritated me.
Principal killer, ? Is he had two of the guys that were dressed up as the killer in his office.
Poking around the scissors.
And he had the scissors and he was like running them down their chest and jabbing them into them.
It wasn't really scissors. He seemed offended that they were making a mockery of what the killer was doing.
Well, then...
And I was like, maybe it's him.
Later, after he kicks him out of his office, he's just wearing the mask in the mirror. Yeah, he is a little creepy.
So, Sydney goes to the bathroom. There's some girls in the stalls. They don't know she's in there. They're just gossiping, just talking some god-awful shit about her.
Yeah, her
she
and her
decides
mom
to...
stay and listen.
Hide. I think she just wanted to hide so they didn't see her.
She could have walked out the door.
Yeah, it was weird. And I guess this is the point where they show the newswoman. She's like, who is next? But,
the girls leave the bathroom. She's in there, like, digging through her purse for something, and she hears, Sydney.
So I didn't hear that part. I could just hear, like, I could tell she heard something.
And she looks around, and she doesn't see anything, and she goes back to looking through her purse, and she hears, Sydney.
So she looks, but she twice checks
under the stalls
for legs, which those toilets, they didn't bother cleaning them at all.
They were nasty.
But
then you see, like, clearly a man's feet.
One boot comes down. It doesn't have to be a man's
pretty big girl.
One work boot comes down, then the other one, and then you see, it has jeans on, then you see the costume drop.
Right.
Like, well, not drop, but the
dress
flowy part of
yeah.
it drop down, and I guess opens the door. He comes out, she does the Liu Kang slide under, toasty, and out the door she goes, running down the hallway.
Right.
And she did a great job of leaving her book bag there. Like, a lot of people try to grab their stuff and go. Like, you don't have time for that shit, or that shit's gone. You can come back for that stuff later.
Yeah.
It's not like you're going to read your notes anyway.
But that gets school canceled.
So...
And a curfew.
I don't think that necessarily does, because she doesn't really tell anybody.
In a deleted scene, she tells the principal.
Oh.
Yeah.
So...
But it gets school canceled, and then a curfew put on the town. But here's the thing. None of her friends seem to give a shit about her. Even her best friend Tatum doesn't really seem to either doesn't get it or doesn't care.
Kind of is like trying to be supportive, but not really fully there. She's only like 40% there.
Like, the night after she was attacked, she wasn't real, like, attentive or caring. She just kind of was just, normal. Like, and then after she was attacked in the bathroom, they're just like, hey, let's have a party. It'll be great. There's no school. We'll have a party.
When they walked out, before they made the announcement, or I guess they made the announcement, they're walking out. Tatum actually says, you're not to be alone anymore. Stay with me at all times.
Right.
So she's kind of there.
Is she? I mean, she says you're not to be alone, but then she's like, hey, let's throw a big kegger. It'll be great.
That was Stu's idea.
Stu's parents aren't home.
That's Stu's idea.
Still, she went along with it. I just feel like nobody's her true friend.
It's high school. You don't have a lot of true
I feel like if I was almost murdered, I would get better attention than that from my friends.
Like, I have a lot of acquaintances from high school, but like a few like people that I would still consider good friends. Like, a lot of those people aren't 100% in.
But Tatum's supposed to be her best friend.
Supposed to be.
Alright.
I think for their age group or whatever, that's about as good as you're going to get.
Alright.
For most people.
Okay.
We were just luckier. So then it cuts back to old Principal Fonz. Somebody knocks on his office. He goes to open the door. Nobody's there.
Goes back to how quick that killer is.
But before that, he was putting on the mask that the kids had running through the hole. So the second time there's a knock again. He runs out there, nothing. Was that the point where they see the janitor, Freddy?
Yeah.
Janitor's got the Freddy Krueger sweater on and the hat.
He's like, damn kids. He's like, what'd you say? He's like, not you, Fred.
And at this point, he goes back into his office.
But Freddy Krueger was a janitor, right? Like, he was like the school's custodian.
Something like that. So he goes back. He's kind of paranoid still.
He like checks the closet.
Why does this principal have a wardrobe in the office at school?
Did you see Fonzie's jacket hanging in it?
No, I did not. I saw the suit jackets, but
yeah.
Why would he have a wardrobe at school? It's a little weird.
It was just like a closet
with the rest of his suits and ties.
He had
all of his ties.
No, he just had like a couple sports coats and his Fonzie jacket.
A couple? You mean 8?
Well,
he had like 8 coats in there.
I don't know his life. Maybe his wife left him. He's living at school. I don't know.
Probably.
Anyway, he feels comfortable, so he closes the door.
Well, at this point...
And,
At this point, you find out he is definitely not the killer. He gets got.
He closes the door, and the killer had been hiding behind his door.
So, old Principal Hembley, old Fonz is dead. So then it cuts to Sydney and Tatum on somebody's porch?
It's Tatum's porch.
Tatum's porch. And Sydney's kind of mulling around the idea that maybe Cotton Weary wasn't the guy. Maybe the
and Tatum's just like, your mom was a total whore. She'd been sleeping with people for fucking ever, and I just never told you.
And Sydney didn't want to believe that. Because she attributed all the rumors to after Gail Weathers, news anchor.
Right. But apparently they'd been going back long before that.
And Tatum's like, no, it started before that. You know, there's other guys.
And she said, but if I was wrong, that means the killer's still out there. To which Tatum says, you need to chill out. You're making it sound like a Wes Carpenter movie.
Wes Carpenter?
Yeah, like Wes Craven and John Carpenter. Is it John Carpenter?
I think so.
I got that right.
So, then it cuts to the video store. Jamie Kennedy's acting weird. At this point, I'm like, maybe Jamie Kennedy?
Do you Randy? Just have killer and question mark all over the place?
Jamie Kennedy?
What do you have at the top of your notes here that is wow with a circle around it?
Oh, that's how dumb Billy Boo Balls was.
Oh, okay.
Like, you need to get over your mom and suck this. Like, like, dude, you just, like, that is, like, not the way to go about this.
Oh my god. You know what would help you get over your mom? This dick.
Good old vitamin D.
Oh my god.
I got a couple units for you daily.
You can take 2 of these nuts and call me in the morning.
What? D's nuts. Let's reel it back in.
Oh.
So, back to Jamie Kennedy. Randy, just being weird at the video.
He's very paranoid.
Very.
I think he thinks he's gonna get got.
So he points out that Billy is, yesterday was arrested. He's talking to Stu. Billy was arrested yesterday. It's not really a good move for him to be standing in the horror section.
Right.
But they only show for like half a second, but it looks like Billy's just trying to mac on some other girls.
Right. He has girls all around him. Like, I don't know, horror groupies? Because here's the thing. Everybody in that town knows he was arrested. So what the hell are all these girls doing?
Some people like that bad boy thing.
I guess. He's telling Stu how Billy is clearly the killer. He definitely did it. And Stu's like, no way. What about her dad? We haven't found her dad. Her dad did it. And he was like, no. His body's going to pop up in the last reel when you least expect it. There's a formula to all of this. Her dad's the red herring. Billy did it. He's like, you need to watch more horror movies. This is how it happens. Oh, those toilets.
They were gross.
Are disgusting. There's just like pee drips all down them. Oh.
And this is the girls'
room. This is the girls' room.
Are y'all like just bending over like from a distance?
Oh, look, a lot of girls are terrified to sit on the seat. And they just hover. And I don't
Are they hovering 2 feet away from the seat?
Some of them, yeah. I don't have the quad muscles for it. I'd take the chance of getting ass herpes and just sit.
I don't think you're going to get ass.
I don't think you are either.
So, There's a curfew. There's a curfew montage, if you will. People closing down. The girls are in not really a grocery store, more like a convenience store grabbing food for this party.
Did you think it was weird that they bought popsicles?
I thought it was weird that they were buying shit from a convenience store. You're in high school. I mean, none of them look poor, but like you can buy the same stuff at a grocery store for a lot cheaper.
I think it was like a grocery store. They had like a proper buggy.
A proper buggy.
Yeah. But
like the Dollar Tree has proper buggies.
But I thought it was weird that they got like chips, and I was like, yeah, that checks out. But then they got like ice cream and popsicles, and I was like, I don't know that we went to the same parties.
Practice.
Practice for old Billy Blue Balls?
Practice for old Billy Blue Balls.
I see. So they said to her, Tatum and Stu, I believe, said, so when they turn your life into a movie, who would play you in the movie?
Tatum. Did you say Tatum?
Yeah, Tatum and Stu. Asked Sydney who would play her in the movie, and she said, my luck, it would be Shannon. No,
Tori Spelling.
Yeah, my luck, it would be Tori Spelling, who did audition to play Sydney.
That's kind of a cheap shot at it.
Yeah. That was a little bit.
That's kind of fucked up.
Yeah. I agree.
So in the convenience store, they're walking down the freezer section.
Mm-hmm.
They go to roll out, and then you see the reflection of the killer in the mask.
Yeah, he's super stalking her.
Then it cuts to
old Deputy Dewey ain't doing his job because he's supposed to be watching
Deputy
her.
Dewey Decimal rolls up to the sheriff
outside, nervous smoking.
Yeah, nervous smoking. The sheriff tells him that the cell was linked to Sydney's father's cell phone.
Right.
So he's suspect number 1 right now.
And tomorrow is the anniversary of the mother's death.
So they're kind of ramping up. They think that something's going to happen that night or the next day. They want to get everything under control. But he's smoking nervously. And this is where PSA. He tosses his cigarette on the ground. He takes his boot, puts it out, and walks away. Don't leave your fucking cigarettes on the ground. Stop fucking littering. Like, that's just not natural. It don't look good. When you pull up next to it, pull up at a stoplight, you look out the side, and you see 700 cigarette butts on the curb, because everybody's like, oh, it's just a cigarette. Like, oh, it's just fucking plastic and foam. Like, that shit's gonna be there a while.
Would you like to go back to Randy in the video store? Because he had one of your favorite lines of the movie.
Oh, yes. Did you write the line down?
No.
I can't really remember, but he says, right before then,
Stu
what
said,
happens?
why would Billy try to kill Sydney? It's his girlfriend. And he said, there's always some dumb excuse to kill the girlfriend.
Yeah, there's always some dumb excuse to kill your girlfriend. And everybody just kind of turns and looks at it.
Right.
Well, only half the people turn and look at him then, and then he was like, everybody's a suspect at the end, and everybody comes and turns around and looks at him. But stop fucking throwing cigarette butts on the ground.
I know, I'm with you. I've heard your soapbox speech before.
Anyway, we cut to the party.
And that's another thing. Stu said he wants to have a party at his house. His parents are going to be gone. Sydney, the scene just happened. Sydney said, no, I don't really want to. I'm not feeling it. And Tatum, who's her best friend, was like, please, for me. Like, bitch, I almost died. We're doing things for me right now.
But if you think about it,
it's the anniversary of my mom's
safety
death.
in numbers.
Not those people.
Safety in numbers.
Not those people. There's no safety in those people.
Why?
Did you see them? They were all drunk and stoned and drooling on themselves.
But there were a lot of people. Safety in numbers.
How'd it go?
We're about to find out.
We're about to find out.
So you see people kind of rolling into this party. You also see scumbag news lady, Gail Weathers,
follows them.
Sneaks like around the property in the van. Like they don't want to be noticed really.
Right. Well, Deputy Dewey drops Tatum and Sydney off, and then he stays to make sure everything is okay because he's not supposed to leave Sydney's side. So
he finds the news van.
Oh, because he got hots for old Gail Weathers.
Yeah. Which I gotta say, I think she looked better in this movie than Friends, but I didn't really watch Friends. But it could have been like the hooker skirt she was wearing.
The neon hooker skirt? Yeah. Okay.
After Dewey finds him, Dewey says he's gonna go check out the party. She was like, "Can I come with you?" She grabs a jacket and a real small camera, and she's gonna go in and record some shady shit.
Right. She sticks the camera on top of the VCR, DVD player, whatever, in the living room and videotapes the whole party. And Sydney or Gail, I can't remember. Anyway, somebody asked if they found her father yet, and they told her no, not yet. They didn't tell her we suspect him or anything. Yeah.
Next thing I got, Stu is doing something, but he tells Tatum to get him to get more beer.
Right.
Tatum initially says, "What am I, the beer wench?" But she goes and does it. So she goes out to the garage. Which I don't know why they didn't put the beer in the
living room fridge. They probably did some. The living room fridge.
The kitchen fridge.
I'm sure they did, but it was go get more beer.
So she goes out there. The door slowly shuts. She's getting as much beer as she can carry. The lights go out.
Right.
She walks back up and does she knock on the door back into the kitchen?
I think so, yeah. She can't open it.
Basically thinking alright guys, stop being assholes. So then she clicks the garage door button. She's going to go around. Well, as the garage door's open, she's walking towards it. It gets about waist high and stops and starts going back down. She turns around and says, "What the fuck?"
The killer's standing there.
But
she just thinks somebody's fucking with her.
Yeah.
Because she walks right up to him and is like, "Oh, do you want to play psychopathic killer? Can I be the victim?" And it's just shaking its head.
He never says anything, he just nods.
Yeah.
He grabs her and she tries to pull away and she's like, "Hey, stop." And he pulls out the knife and she realizes
he cuts her arm.
This ain't a game, so he kind of cuts her arm. She goes to she runs to the other side of the garage next to the fridge. He goes to run at her. She throws the freezer door open and knocks him down. She missed a good chance to stomp on his face.
She did a good job defending herself. She slammed his face with the freezer door.
Bit, yeah.
And then she was nailing him with the beer bottles.
Yeah. But when she nailed him with the fridge door the first time, he was a little bit stunned. She should have stomped on his head right then.
I agree.
So they struggle a little bit more. She throws some beer bottles. There is a cat pet door in the garage.
Right.
Did she press the button or did...
No, she just going to climb through the cat door.
So she ran to try to climb out.
Halfway stuck. She gets halfway in and gets stuck, and then the killer just opens the garage door so it'll go up and snaps her in half.
So it goes up and as it goes up, she kind of falls back through inside the garage side, but then her neck gets caught between the bottom of the garage door and the top of the garage door frame.
Right.
And then you see the garage door struggling to close. There's no safety mechanism at all on this thing. It just keeps trying. You see the electricity kind of blow out.
Apparently.
So she gets choked to death.
Right. Apparently in real life, she was too little and she kept falling out the cat door. She could easily fit through it and she kept falling out. And they had to nail her shirt to the garage door to keep her in there.
No thanks. So, let's see where we're at.
She's dead. A couple people are leaving the party. Stu has the door open, and Billy pops through the door.
And at this point, I was like, Billy always just seems to come around right after some shit goes down.
Don't he, though?
So now I'm back on Billy Blue Balls train.
Mm-hmm.
So Sydney and old Billy Blue Balls.
Stu says, and this is important, Stu says, "Why don't you go upstairs to my parents' room, talk it out, or whatever?" They go upstairs to his parents' room in this gigantic house that I'm sitting here going, I wonder what the mortgage on a house like that is. His parents' bed is like a fucking full-size bed.
I didn't notice that.
Yeah, I did.
I noticed he said parents' room.
I'm to the age I notice beds now, apparently. And that bed does not fit as the master bed in that house. I was
no, that was a really fucking big house.
I was like, you have this huge ass house, and you're sleeping in a full size bed? Because I don't think so.
No.
No.
Not at all.
Not a chance in hell.
Not even if if his parents slept in separate beds, does that even work? So they go upstairs and she gives him they're talking about things. She says she wants her life to be a Meg Ryan movie. Well, and they're kind of hugging.
He said, he was talking about movies, and she said, those are just movies. This is real life. And he said, it's all a movie. It's all one great big movie. Also at this time, because there's two things happening back to back and it keeps switching, Gail has made it back to the news van, and they're watching like the live stream of the party happening, but they realize it had a 30-second delay.
Yeah.
Important.
So,
while they're talking in this bedroom, Sydney says, I've been self-absorbed in my post-traumatic stress. I feel like if you're inside a year of your mom being brutally raped and murdered, you're allowed to be as self-absorbed as you want. And Billy Blue Balls can get over it.
I don't think she was really self-absorbed. Just
no, but that's
made
what
her feel guilty about not giving it up. Like
he
totally.
gaslit the shit out of her.
She says the whole Meg Ryan line, and then she was like, "Or even a Porto," and he's like, "What?" And she's like, "You heard me."
Yeah.
And so they get to doing their over the clothes stuff, which eventually leads to under the clothes stuff. But like you said,
but it's juxtaposed with Randy downstairs watching Halloween.
And he gets upset that he starts,
only virgins can outsmart the killer.
And he's like, the rules, there are rules to this thing, there are rules to horror movies. He stands up and he starts giving a speech. Rule number 1, never have sex, which he gets booed by other people. He's like, sex equals dead.
Right.
Rule number 2, never drink or do drugs. He gets more boos, probably more than the sex thing. And he's like, rule number 3, never say, I'll be right back. And then old Shaggy's like, I gotta get another beer.
I'll be right back.
I'll be right back.
Yeah.
And he walks out, he's like, yeah, I'll see you with a knife in the kitchen.
Yeah.
So then it goes to the news reporter. Dewey rolls up. He's like, hey, saw a car down the way. You want to come check it out with me? And it's kind of his way of getting her alone.
Right.
Whatever. She's like, sure. And then she tells her cameraman, I'll be right back. And I was like, oh, this bitch is dead.
I didn't even notice. That's hilarious.
I was like, this bitch is dead.
But then he decides, let's not take the police car. That'd be stupid. Nay.
He wants to go for a romantic walk.
Let's walk.
So,
but here's my question, because we're skipping ahead too far. I want to know, on a personal level, how long after you accuse somebody of murder and have them arrested is it okay to have sex with them?
Are you looking at from her point of view or from his point of view?
Hers. How long?
I feel like longer than that.
After you've accused somebody of murder, is it okay to have sex with them?
I feel like she was mentally not in the right state. She started to try to see things from his point of view and like overcorrected, right? So she was like, I understand where he's coming from. I understand he's frustrated, but she overcorrected, and I feel like that he it's totally his.
He was gaslighting the shit out of her
for all of this
through the whole movie.
And as a teenager, you're not fully equipped to deal with somebody trying to manipulate you. At least most people.
And she was kind of fragile anyway.
And she was already fragile, so she's a little more prone to manipulation. Like a person that wasn't going through all these other things, like her mom dying, probably wouldn't have.
I'm just saying, we've been together.
Peer pressured enough.
In March, we will have been together for 20 years. If I decide you murdered a bunch of people and you're fresh off of trying to murder me, and I have you arrested for it, and the cops are like, no, he didn't do it, and they let you go and you come back home, I'm still going to look at you weird for a little bit. I'm going to wonder about it for a little bit. I
think you'd still do it while you looked at me weird.
We're just not going to pop back into daily routine and everything's fine.
So you see, as the reporter and Dewey Decimal walk off.
Why do you keep calling him that?
He's Deputy Dewey Decimal. The alliteration. Kids start leaving the party.
Because they got a phone call saying that the principal had been murdered and he was hanging from the goalpost. Yeah. They all wanted to go see the principal's body. These kids are really fucked up.
They get the call here in a second.
No, that's why they leave.
Well, I have kids start leaving the party, then you have a couple people leave the party to begin with, because they don't get in the cars, they just walk out. Then you have it cutting back to Billy and Sydney doing the over the clothes stuff, back to the under the clothes stuff. Then they get the call, and then the kids, like 2 carloads of kids, run out and they don't bother to use the driveway. They're just cutting through fields.
They damn near run over poor Dewey Decimal and Gail Weathers.
So, hold on.
They roll out into the bushes, like jump into the bushes to avoid being hit.
Yeah.
And Dewey lands on top of her. They kiss. And
He's
then
like,
she turns her head and she's like, oh, is that the car we're looking for? And it turns out to be Sydney's dad's car. And he's like, oh my God, what's he doing here? Like, he thinks that the dad's back there murdering everybody. And he's like, we gotta go, and like start running back towards the house.
Yeah. So
at that point, you go back upstairs with Sydney and Billy. And she says, he's sitting in the floor, like getting dressed, and she has her back to him. She's sitting on the bed. And they've just had sex. She's like using Stu's mom's brush, which I thought was really gross, but whatever. And she said, so, who'd you call? And he's like,
starts to put some things together.
What? He was like, after you got arrested, who was your one phone call? Who'd you call? He's like, I called my dad. And she's like, no, the sheriff called your dad. I watched him do it. Who did you call? And he was like, yeah, when I tried, I didn't get an answer. She's like, oh, okay. Huh.
And he kind of gets mad that she still thinks he's the
stands up. Is like, what do I got to do to prove to you that I am not a murderer? At which time the murderer walks into the room and stabs him a few times.
Billy Blue Balls. I was not sad that he got stabbed. So I'm like, at this point, definitely not Billy. So who? So
not the principal.
I'm
not Billy.
I'm back to maybe Jamie at this point, which then it cuts to Randy.
Which it immediately cuts to laying on the couch.
Yeah. So,
well, hold on. Billy gets stabbed. Then that's when Sydney crawls out of the window. Like, she runs upstairs. He's chasing her. She runs upstairs into, like, this attic, which is super creepy. There's all these dolls hanging from the ceiling. Hella creepy. And she runs out the window, and he grabs her, and she jerks, and she falls off the roof and lands on their boat. And then rolls out onto the driveway.
But at this point, at some point, the killer gets knocked down. I was like, why does nobody pounce on this? Whoa, she ran through the house. I think she slammed a door. Mm-hmm. He falls back, and I was like, that was her chance to either get the knife or, like, try to stomp on his throat.
But she falls off the roof. She sees Tatum dead in the doggy door of the garage.
Yeah.
That freaks her out. So now she's just, like, running down the damn street.
So then it cuts to Jamie is on the couch.
Randy!
Jamie Kennedy, who plays Randy. But it's funny because it's Jamie Kennedy on the couch yelling at the TV screen. He's watching Halloween, yelling at Jamie Lee Curtis, Jamie, look behind you. As, through the kitchen, the killer walks through.
Right.
Killer's, like, drawing back the knife, and he's like,
drunk as hell.
Turn around. Look behind you. And you can kind of see the reflection of the killer in the TV.
Right.
It's old school tube TV. He's yelling to turn around, but then something happens as the
Sydney yelled. You could hear Sydney outside yelling for help, so he had to go silence her.
So he runs away, so Randy has no idea how lucky he just got.
Right. Sydney runs to the news van, and he's yelling, let me in, let me in, let me in.
She jumps in.
Right.
And basically just in time with the 30-second delay to see the killer walk up behind Randy. And then the news dude opens the door. He sees the door's open, and he goes to take another step, and he's like, shit, there's a 30-second delay.
Turns around and gets his throat slashed instantly.
That Jamie yelling at the TV for Jamie Lee Curtis to turn around was the best part of the movie.
That was your favorite part?
That was the best part of it.
That's funny.
So at this point,
Dewey and Gail have come back.
Sydney has screamed, caused the killer to divert tactics. Dewey Decimal comes in hot.
He tells Gail, he asks if there's a phone in the news van. She said, yeah. He was like, I'm going to go clear the house. You call 911 for backup. She's hollering for her cameraman. She can't find him. There's blood everywhere. She steps in the blood. She finally crawls through to the front of the news van and gets the cell phone.
But she's yelling she yells at her cameraman. She doesn't know where he's at. She's yelling, I need the cellular.
Yeah, she gets this, like, Zach Morris brick phone.
I wrote Zach Morris phone on my notes.
To call 911. And she turns on the headlights, and her windshield's covered with something. She turns on the wipers, and it's just covered in blood.
Yeah. Sydney starts yelling out like an idiot. Like, she walks around the front of the house yelling for...
Gail takes off in the news van, and Sydney's in the middle of the road trying to flag her down, and she almost hits her. So she wrecks and, like, runs out into the field and slams into a tree.
Yeah.
And then Sydney runs down the street back towards the house, trying to find Dewey. And she's yelling, like, you see Dewey, he's, like, trying to clear the house. You see the killer running through the house, and she's outside, and she's yelling for Dewey. And he opens the door, and he's, like, limping now. And he's like, Sydney? And he turns around and has, like, a knife right at the base of his spine.
So at that point, you definitely know it's not Deputy Dewey Desmond.
Not Deputy Dewey. She hops in the cop car because the killer comes out right behind Dewey.
Yeah. So she hops in the Jeep, locks all the doors.
Right.
And then the killer's like, I just killed your boy. Here's your keys, and wiggles them.
Right.
and you can see, like, the fuck me moment. Like, so then...
He goes under the car and I guess starts, like, cutting wires because, like, locks start popping up. No. And then...
He was using the key, like, he was ducked down walking around the car using the key to unlock doors.
Oh.
And then
the trunk
I don't know what kind of wiring system.
I couldn't figure that out.
If you ever see a wiring system under the car, you'd be like, what the fuck is this
I've never been under a car.
So the wires are actually in the car.
Yeah.
So he opens the trunk. She doesn't, or the hatch.
She doesn't
really
notice. At all.
But she hears the CB radio go off and grabs it real quick and tries to yell for help. And killer tries to do stuff.
Right. She gets out, runs. As her back's turned, Randy comes up behind her. Like she's running back into the house. She gets Deputy Dewey's gun. Randy and Stu are now back there going, he's the killer. No, he's the killer. He did it. No, he did it. Sydney, shoot him. Keep me. And she's like, no, fuck you both.
Yeah. So she locks them both out.
Yeah, I was 100% with her. This is when Billy comes down.
So Billy Blue Balls crawls back out of hell.
Right.
Crawls out of the living room, like, rolls down the stairs.
Very convincing, isn't he?
And he gets up, he convinces her to give him the gun.
It's okay, Sydney. Takes the gun and just opens the door and lets Randy in. And promptly shoots him.
Promptly shuts the door. Stu doesn't come in. Turns around and he gets all creepy. He shoots
Randy.
Stu. And you're like,
he shoots Randy.
This guy.
Randy.
Shoots Randy, yeah. You're like, fuck this guy.
And she's like, but what? You were stabbed. And he just starts like creepy as shit, licking his finger. And he's like, it's corn syrup, just like they used in Halloween.
And then old Stu comes walking around the side through the kitchen.
With the voice changer.
Yeah. So then you figure out their whole plan was kill everybody but themselves. They take turns stabbing each other lightly.
Well, they also tell her they killed her mom.
Yeah.
That she did falsely accuse Cotton. They killed her. She wants a reason why. And he said it's because her mom was sleeping with his dad, which caused his mom to leave him. And he was like, abandonment will make you do crazy things. It made you have sex with a psychopath.
Yeah. Like all that just because your mommy left. Like,
it's a bit much, right?
He's butthurt because his mom left. I get it. Like, but dude, you ruined the whole town.
A whole town.
You ruined the whole town for this. So that obviously fucked him up.
Yeah.
Right? So they have her dad tied up. They bring him out.
Right.
He's
just been in a damn closet this whole time. They
go over their plan. They start lightly stabbing each other so that
they stick the voice changer and everything in the dad's pocket.
Yeah.
They say they're going to frame him. They're going to shoot him in the head. Everybody died but them. They were left for dead.
Yeah.
It's like they just keep fucking stabbing each other.
Then the reporter walks through the door.
Well, Billy tells Stu to go get the gun. And he walks into like this office and the gun isn't where it was.
Yeah. Well, it was kind of like to the side of the
kitchen.
Right,
he was like, where's the gun? Where's the gun? And she's like, it's right here.
But she apparently couldn't unlock the safety and critically fails to save the day, and she even had her plan
Now,
about her saving the day.
The movie I asked you about the other day, that I couldn't remember what it was called, and I still can't remember now. Do you remember what it was called? Was it called Wolf Creek?
Yeah.
Wolf Creek. We watched that one in college, and there's a scene in it as well where the girl has a gun and she's going to shoot the killer, but the safety's on and she doesn't know how to take the safety off and she fumbles with it forever. And it was that moment that I was like, I need to learn how to shoot a gun and turn a safety off right the fuck now. Like, this is the moment. Like, I need to take a class. I need to ask somebody. I need to go to a shooting range. Yeah.
So...
And you apparently don't remember that movie either, because the whole time I was talking, you were just shaking your head no at me. So you have to remember. You don't remember The Head on a Stick?
There's a lot of movies with that.
No, it was that movie. I don't
might
know.
remember if we watched
that shit stuck. Well, we're not going to be watching it. Don't worry about it.
She couldn't get the safety undone, so she couldn't shoot him. Billy Blue Balls kicks her out the doorway.
Right.
She hits the column on the porch and falls down.
Right, on top of Deputy Dewey. But while they're dealing with Gail, Sydney and her dad disappear. And Stu turns around and he's like, oh shit, man. Because old Stu's bleeding out anyway. Like, Billy stabbed him a little deep. He just has blood everywhere. Like, you could see him just getting worse and worse.
And then Sydney flips the script and calls the house.
With the voice changer.
With the voice changer. Calls Billy a pansy-ass mama's boy.
Because he is. He's ruined an entire town. She said, I've called the police. And he tells Stu to go find her. He's like, I'm dying, man. He's like, here, talk to her. And he gave him the phone while he goes looks for her. He goes, did you really call the police? She's like, yes. He's like, oh, man. My mom and dad are going to be so pissed.
Well, then...
I was like, I think you got a couple bigger things to deal with.
She asked what he was going to tell the police. He was like, I'm very susceptible to peer pressure.
Yeah, it was like, why did you do it? I know Billy's reason. He was like, peer pressure, man. I'm weak.
So she goes upstairs.
I do seem to be doing a Shaggy voice when I do his voice.
She goes upstairs and hides. And Billy's looking for her. She pops out of a closet with the costume on. And just...
an umbrella.
Umbrella through the chest of Billy.
He drops the gun and she doesn't go pick it up, which really bothered me.
So then was Stu chasing her after this?
Stu jumps up and chases her.
They roll around for a little bit.
Right. He was like, I always had a thing for you, Sydney. And she drops a TV on his face and was like,
well, she knocked him down. He's laying on the floor and she just knocks that big ass TV over and electrocutes him or something.
Right on the old face.
Then Billy comes through, tackles her. They roll around.
Well, Randy's alive. Randy pops up in between there. Between Stu dying and Billy coming back to life, Randy pops up. And she's like, I thought you were dead. And he was like, I did too. I probably wouldn't have survived it if I'd had sex. Yeah. I've never been so glad to be a virgin in my entire life.
Yeah, then Billy comes in. He gets on top of Sydney.
He's choking her. He's choking her and comes in and Gail shoots him.
Well, no.
You're right.
Sydney puts her finger through the umbrella hole and gets him
to stop.
And he's like struggling with that. And the news lady blasts him.
Yeah, Gail comes in and shoots him. And she's shaking, and Sydney's like, it's okay, and walks over and takes the gun from her.
At this point, I wrote down, it's time for double tap.
And she goes over to Billy and like kicks his body to see if he's still alive. And Randy said, be careful. It's time for him to come back to life for one last scare. And he sits up and goes, and she shoots him right in the fucking forehead.
Which is probably one of the best things she's done.
Right. Now, for a week, you've been telling me how much
At this point, the dad rolls out of a closet somewhere.
Yeah, I'm surprised they didn't shoot the dad.
I thought she had already untied him.
Apparently, when they snuck off, there was no time for any of that.
And then
there was time to put on a costume. But there was no time to take the duct tape off of Daddy's mouth and hands.
And then the newswoman, as the sun's coming up, the newswoman gets her exclusive. Like, she's all bloody. Like, she's got a whole new camera.
I was going to say, apparently has a whole new cameraman because her original cameraman's laying in the weeds somewhere.
She's talking about, her exclusive story from this.
Right.
now crime scene.
So, as I was trying to say, for a week you've been telling me how awful this movie is and how you hated it all the times you've watched it, and then today you're like, I don't think I've ever actually watched it. What did you think?
I don't disagree with my decision to not watch it,
What?
but I will give you that it was better than I thought it was.
I think it's a really good movie. It's kind of meta.
Really good's a strong term.
Huh?
Really good's a strong term.
Did I say really good?
Yeah.
It's a good movie.
Out of 5 stars, how many you give it?
4. Yourself, buddy. It's good. It's super
terrible.
meta. It makes fun of itself while still being a good movie. It is funny. It's suspenseful. It makes for a decent horror movie. And they did a good job. It wasn't predictable. You didn't know who the killer was. You thought the killer was like 5 different people.
Yeah, I went back and forth. But Billy was so sketchy. Like, the only reason I came off of him is because I thought he was dead. I was like, well, fuck.
But that was part of their plan too.
That part was good.
See? What would you give it out of 5?
2.5, 3.
2.5?
Maybe 3.
You don't think that's kind of low?
I guess bump it up to 3.
Okay. I found it weird that it was released in December. They said to compete against all the Christmas movies to give the horror fans something they could go see as well. It made over $100 million.
Really?
Yeah, and I didn't know until...
At the time or after the fact?
At the time. The first weekend apparently was a little rough, but then it went on in the movies to make over $100 million. I didn't know until today that in 2015 there was a Scream TV series that ran for 3 seasons on MTV. Like, we watched this movie on Netflix, and when I typed in Scream, the TV series came up first, and I was like, what the hell is this? But it had pretty much the same plot. It said, a TV series adaptation of the hit horror film franchise. Instigated by a cyberbullying incident that goes viral, a brutal murderer in Lakewood stirs memories of a crime spree from the town's past that has haunted some, intrigued others, and maybe just spawned a new executioner. At the center of the story is a group of teenagers, with 2 old friends struggling to reconnect at its heart. Who says the network become lovers, enemies, suspects, targets, and victims of a killer who's out for blood? Yeah, no, I have no interest in watching it. I just had no idea that it even existed.
So we got 7 total victims.
I have 6.
Sydney's mom makes 7.
Casey, Steve, Billy, Stu, Tatum, the cameraman, and Sydney's mom. Because Dewey's not dead.
Dewey's dead. Billy's not dead.
Dewey's not dead.
Dewey was stabbed in the back.
Yeah, Dewey's not dead. Dewey's in all the sequels.
Well, they just left him for dead on the porch.
No, he wasn't. They put him on a stretcher in an ambulance, and they were like, take it easy, Dewey. And he's like, all right, man. He walks with a limp, but he's in all the sequels.
All right, so we got Steve, Casey.
And Billy is dead. Billy got shot in the brain.
Well, Billy is dead, so that's how the math worked out. Billy's dead again, yay. Rest in peace, Billy Blue Balls.
He's such a scumbag.
He is.
Even if he wasn't a killer, he would be like the worst person in this movie.
Yeah. Definitely. He might be, if there was a different killer, other than the pair.
Right.
He's definitely still the worst person in the movie.
How do you broach the subject of, hey, let's kill people?
I think they got really, really high one day.
Mm-hmm.
It's like,
they had to have been watching a horror movie,
my
right?
mommy left, all because this woman, fucked my dad. But he put no blame on his dad
None
at all.
whatsoever.
Like, that's a two-way street.
Right.
Man. Like, if, I guess assuming his parents were married, the way he acted at it. He put too much stock in that, quote, normal family. And I guess there was not enough deaths in him for that butthurt. So he just went off the charts.
So, with both of them dressing up as the killer, like, Matthew Lillard is 6'4" and Skeet Ulrich is 5'10". Like, they have very different body types. Like, we've been watching a lot of The Masked Singer, trying to figure out who's under the mask. And anytime one of us says a person. The other one's like, no, completely different body type. They're at least 5 inches taller than him. It can't be. It's weird that you don't really see that variation in the killer. But also, I have things that I would write down that I'm like, made a notation, like revisit after the movie. So like when Billy sneaks into Sydney's room, it's right after he's killed Casey and Steve. So like killing those 2 kids just made him fucking horny.
Well, The Exorcist made him horny.
Well, The Exorcist was what he said made him horny. But
no, he was bored.
He killed those 2 kids and then immediately came to her house. Because the next day at school is when they found out that they were dead.
He's real messed up.
And in the video store, when Stu was talking to Randy, and Randy said, there's always a reason to kill your girlfriend. And then in, like, the next couple of scenes, Stu kills his girlfriend.
Do you think Stu killed his girlfriend, or...
I guess Billy probably killed Tatum, right? Because Stu was still in the party. And then Stu opens the door to let some people out, and Billy, like, pops around the corner. So I guess Billy probably killed Tatum.
Billy's definitely the more psychopathic.
I could agree. So then, takes it back even further when they're sitting at the fountain, and Sydney's like, how could somebody gut somebody? And Stu's like, oh, you take a knife, and you stick it here, and you cut down, and then you do this, you flay that. It's like from experience. And at the time, Billy says, hey man, knock it off, like, what are you doing? But what he means is, shut the fuck up. Yeah.
But Billy's also like a sleazy Johnny Depp knockoff.
Well, they said they wanted him based on how much he looked like Johnny Depp, because they wanted that, like, Johnny Depp Nightmare on Elm Street feel.
I mean, this makes a perfect Sauvage commercial right here.
He could make a good Sauvage commercial.
Like, hey, I'm in the middle of the desert. I'm just gonna bury all my jewelry right here. Sauvage.
Yeah.
But he does look like a sleazy Johnny Depp knockoff.
Yeah, they said that's why they wanted him. They said they used over 50 gallons of blood. Fake blood.
Didn't seem like it.
I don't know. Everything was kind of bloody.
Yeah,
they said that they had to
retakes.
They said they had to go back and have it the rating reassigned like 3 or 4 times, trying to get it lower. They kept giving him like an NC-17 rating.
For what?
Well, it said that they kept having to cut out a bunch of the gore, and Bob Weinstein, not the rapey one, the brother, went to him and was like, what if you watched it as a comedy and not as a horror movie? And they're like, oh, that changes everything, and gave him an R. And I was like, I don't know how that changes anything. Like, you still see what you see.
So it left the movie the same and said, think of it as a comedy.
Right.
Oh, well, okay.
It changes everything.
The movie is what it is. Whether you say it's a horror movie or you say it's a comedy, it still is what it is.
I think it's both.
I mean, yeah, there are some funny parts.
Right.
I guess it's still mostly a horror movie.
It's mostly a horror movie, but it's so self-referential. It was talking about Matthew Lillard being 6 inches taller than Skeet Ulrich, but there not being any difference in them when they're in the costume. Alright, so on Rotten Tomatoes...
I did see the score. I thought it was higher than I thought it would be.
Both the audience score and the tomato meter... Thermometer? I don't know how you would want to say that.
The tomatometer.
Is both at 79%.
Which I thought it was higher than I expected based on what our previous episodes were given. Because a lot of movies are getting like 50s and stuff like that. And I'm like, this movie's better than that.
Also, before I get into this, they said that Drew Barrymore had auditioned to play Sydney as well, and they were going to let her play Sydney. And then she decided she would rather be the girl that dies in the first few minutes, and said that if Drew Barrymore dies within the first 20 minutes of the movie, it proves to the audience that absolutely anything can happen. Now, I remember, and I don't guess you care or know because you didn't watch it apparently, I remember that scene being longer, and her, like, running through a field in a bra. That has to be Scream 2, I guess. I guess that has to be Scream 2.
Alright.
Or, like, Scary Movie, and I'm just remembering the parody.
Could be the parody.
This also was going to be called Scary Movie, and they changed it to Scream.
I thought it was weird that the opening logo that pops up is
different.
not the same as the one that they promoted.
It's definitely different. Okay. Actually, hold on. Let me Google something real fast. It is definitely the scary movie opening that I'm remembering of her running through the field. And just like she keeps losing articles of clothing and then she's just in a bra and then she ends up hanging from the tree as well. Okay. I guess Scary Movie did a good job.
So reviews.
Okay. 1 star. Hasn't aged well.
I will, even though I've hated on the movie before, I wouldn't say I hated on it, I just said not for me. I disagree with the whole aging thing because I thought it was fun.
Says, I watched this soon after it came out and hadn't seen it since. It was honestly so painful to watch that after the first 15 minutes I had to turn it off. It's a tough sell over 20 years later, and especially after the horror genre, specifically women's roles in that genre, have totally been redefined. Hard pass. But here's the thing.
ADHD.
I didn't feel like it aged negatively.
No.
And also, if you watch it for more than 15 minutes, you know that it has like a strong woman lead, and her and Gail here kick ass and kill everybody.
Yeah. ADHD.
So I don't know what exactly. I don't know. This person I just thought was funny. David Rosenthal in 2014 gave it 1 star because it was uncomfortably gory. Like, do you purchase...
In 2014?
Do you purchase or rent a slasher movie and then bitch that it's bloody?
You know what, old David... We should probably stop naming people's last names.
They put their names out here. It's not on me.
Oh, okay. Touche. I said that before too. Oh, David just want to see them titties.
I don't know. It's just
weird.
David
got a rumor that he was going to see old Rose McGowan or Nev Campbell's boobs. It was disappointing.
Daniel J. Michaels. 1 star. Titled it, Waste 2 hours of one's life watching young girls. He expands on that in the... No, he expands on that in the actual review, but I found that an odd title. Says, what's the point? Waste 2 hours of one's life watching young girls be psychologically terrorized, disemboweled, and left hanging in trees for mommy and daddy to discover.
There were boys in there.
Guess what mommy and daddy do then? Little wonder why Americans lock their doors and don't talk to strangers. According to this movie, those strategies won't keep you safe anyway. This piece of shit got turned off after 15 minutes.
ADD.
So how does he get 1 star because he wasted 2 hours of his life watching it, but he turned it off after 15 minutes? And do people in other countries not lock their doors?
I would say probably some neighborhoods.
I feel like I would feel safe in our neighborhood.
I don't feel like they're not from America.
Well, it's weird how they said, a little wonder why Americans lock their doors and don't talk to strangers. But according to this movie, those strategies won't keep you safe anyway.
I think it's more like Americans as in us.
I don't know.
But I feel like a lot of people have ADD. They just can't. Like, the first half hour, 45 minutes of a movie. Or the first 150 pages of a big novel. There's a lot of story building or catching up you have to put in that makes things a little slow. So you gotta wait past the 15-minute mark.
Spoiler alert for Under the Dome, the novel. So that book is over 1,000 pages.
1,200.
It is a fucking book. You spend approximately 100 pages learning the name of everybody in town, what they do, how they're related to each other, and on page like 101, it kills them all. It don't matter. I'm over here like trying to take fucking notes because I'm like, I'm not going to remember these people. These people will have to be important. It's telling me all about them. That dome comes down. They're all on the border and it crushes every goddamn one of them.
Do you think Stephen King laughs every time somebody bitches about it?
I'm mad. There's like 5 people in the book that fucking matter and everybody else got crushed. Okay. 1 star. Scream. Hold on. I also want to say that this review was left in 2000. So just a couple of years after the movie. Scream brought us little shocks and no nudity. The most popular slasher movies, A Nightmare on Elm Street, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Halloween, and Friday the 13th, all had creative death sequences, which are important in slasher movies. They also brought us very shocking material, and often nudity. They were not afraid to stand up to the plate and deliver what they were supposed to. Unfortunately, the 90s were a politically correct time, where many slasher movies were nervous about showing gore, nudity, and such else. Scream, I respect for delivering a reignition in the genre, but it doesn't deliver what the 80s crowd went to see, except for the slashings, of course. Wes Craven is noticeably softer here than ever before. He's unfortunately not given the audiences shocks that we will talk about for years. Last House on the Left was extremely shocking, and A Nightmare on Elm Street has some of the most elaborate death scenes in slasher history. What if Kevin Williamson would have watched more than just a handful of slasher movies? It would have been given a more fun material, I believe. What if he did watch more than a handful of slasher movies? He should have thrown that stuff in. The classics like Friday the 13th series, Nightmare on Elm Street, and Halloween remain uneclipsed by present slasher movies. Thankfully, it looks like Scream has boosted life back into the 80s horror rather than the 90s horror, seeing how the Scream imitations are slowly dying down, and Jason X, Freddy vs. Jason, Seed of Chucky, Hellraiser 5, and others are on the way up. This man, number one, is just upset he didn't get to see them titties. Because he bitched about not enough nudity like 4 times. And for this guy's own welfare, I hope he's deceased. Because if he thought the 90s were too politically correct, he is not surviving 2019.
What's this dude's first name?
The review was so long that I do not have his name on here. But it was left in 2000. It was 1 star, and that was titled Too Politically Correct.
I'm going to call him Joseph.
Okay.
1, old Joseph is fucking weird because he can't get his rocks off without killing somebody.
Yeah, he needs more nudity.
He needs somebody to be stabbed to death.
Apparently, there's not enough sex in his violence.
And blood all over the helpless victim in order to finish.
Right.
Weirdo.
I don't know if he necessarily went that far, but he does seem to have some issues.
Like, I didn't be like, okay, we're watching Scream. I'm about to see me some titties. Like,
right.
I didn't go, oh, Friday the 13th. Let's get it.
I think there were more titties in Friday the 13th. I also hate that word.
There was just one set.
That was just one. Because Kevin Bacon had a handful of the other one.
Kevin, I don't know. I guess they told him to, like, keep it covered. But he was very creepily, like, latched onto it as she got up.
Right. Could only show one of those things now, damn it.
But that's not why you watch this. Like, if you... There are websites for that kind of thing.
Yeah, there's porn, buddy.
Like, go watch that site.
Yeah.
All in all, I thought it was a decent movie. It's basically pansy-ass mama's boy gets butthurt over his abandonment issues and ruins the whole town by killing the woman who slept with his dad, although his dad's not to blame for this at all. And him and his pothead friend rehash this whole thing a year later to get their rocks off and fail.
How sadistic is it that he kills the mom? Here's the thing. He said that him and Sydney had been dating for 2 years. Her mom's only been dead 1 year, so they were dating for a year. Killed her mom, has now been dating her for 2 years, had sex with her, and then was like, yeah, I killed your mom because she was a whore and she slept with my dad. And I'm just like, you have spent this entire movie gaslighting her into having sex with you, but her mom's a whore because she had sex with your dad? Like...
So let's say old Billy Blue Balls, Sketch Ass Johnny Depp, doesn't have the...
Sketch Ass Johnny Depp.
Doesn't have the motivation to kill.
Okay.
He does not make it very far in life. Because that is a tiny bit of adversity, especially for somebody who is already in high school.
Yeah.
Like, you're already in high school. You're already past that age of, I need my parents to live. Like, once you get, like, a lot of people, if something happened their freshman, sophomore years, even 8th grade. 8th grade. If something happened then and they were left on their own, it would be hard for a while for them. They'd have to emotionally get over that whole deal. They'll move on. This ain't about me. Fuck you.
I didn't say anything.
I see that look you give me. It has nothing to do with me.
I wasn't bringing it up.
People in general.
I mean, I'm going to go hide the knives before I go to bed, but
like, people in general, they have a resolve to them. There are certain people, like old Billy Blue Balls, that apparently can't handle it and just fucking went ape shit over nothing.
Yeah.
Like, he ruined a town over nothing. Like, apparently it's genetic. Old Daddy Blue Balls was having some problems coercing his wife.
What? Daddy Blue Balls.
Old Sydney's mom slid into them DMs. Yeah. Got him some.
Apparently Sydney's mom had slid into a bunch of DMs.
She slid into a bunch of DMs.
This didn't turn out nearly as long as I thought it was going to be based on the amount of notes we had taken.
There's a lot of little things packed in. Anything else you want to add?
I'm sure as soon as we hit stop, there'll be 1,000 things I would like to add.
What did you think the best part of the movie
was? I don't know. I mean, the twist, right? Like, him coming down the stairs after being, quote-unquote, fake stabbed.
That's alright. I'm still...
letting everybody in, and then you're just like, you motherfucker.
I'm still with the whole Randy, Jamie Kennedy yelling, Jamie, turn around, Jamie, look behind you, was the best part. It was the most genius part of the whole movie.
It certainly is the part that Freeform keeps showing on a commercial.
It's the best part.
They show him yelling, and then they show Sketch Ass Johnny Depp, which is what I will be calling him for the rest of my life.
SADP!
All seductively licking corn syrup blood off his finger. And, like, completely out of context. Like, you just see him, like, sucking blood off his finger with this, like, come fuck me look. And then you hear, like...
I feel like that would be
Jamie Kennedy
to show in a commercial.
And then you hear Jamie Kennedy going, look behind you! And then it goes back to him just, like, sucking his finger. It was like, Scream Marathon, Friday at 8. And I'm just like, I like that movie, but I don't know how y'all cut that off. And it shows Matthew Lillard going, I'll be right back. And that's the commercial. Also, do you know, I've been watching a lot of the, like, Halloween stuff on Freeform all month.
We don't get paid by Freeform. She just fucking watches this shit all day.
When the Halloween movies end at, like, 10 o'clock, it is immediately followed by the 700 Club.
What?
Yeah, I was like, I don't know how they feel about coming on after the Addams Family and Beetlejuice.
Another public service announcement. The 700 Club is only worried about those dollar bills, y'all.
Oh, yeah, it's like, awful.
It's not about what they believe, what they don't believe. It's about those dollar bills.
I cannot get to the remote fast enough after getting my Beetlejuice on to change the channel away from the 700. Like, it's scarier than anything I've watched all day.
They are the true form of the fake apology that Trey Parker gave Chana.
What?
So you might have to cut this part out or leave it in. I don't care. Chana might have banned South Park.
Right.
Because they didn't pander to.
Right.
Apparently, I learned this, movies get edited before they're released in China to add Asian figures or Chinese figures into certain positions to make it more popular because there's so many people, they sell more tickets, blah, blah, blah. So they pander to the audience a little bit, which is, it's kind of a shitty move, but I understand why they're doing it because people love money. And then this whole NBA thing brought about the whole, don't be political, we're going to lose money. Whoa. he said that they apologized. Trey Parker said they apologize. They love money more than freedom and democracy. Their president doesn't look just like Winnie the Pooh or Prime Minister, whatever he's called. And it was just a whole fake apology that just dug deeper, and I was like, get him.
I want to have fuck you money.
Yeah.
I want to have enough money that I could piss off an entire nation.
And not have to worry about being killed.
Yeah, it'd just be fine.
That would be nice. I want to have enough money just to piss off one person.
Like him. Like he pissed off an entire nation. Seth Rogen pissed off an entire nation.
Korea.
Yeah.
It's a little bit smaller. But
it's still an entire nation.
Fuck you money would be nice. Like that. Joe Rogan seems to have that fuck you money.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that have fuck you money that you never hear from. Like they're done with being in the public. But Joe Rogan's like, he says shit that I'll be like, if I said that about people at my work, I'd be fired.
Oh yeah. He'll say it about people he's actively working for.
Your active job is
like he'll go on that podcast to talk mad shit about everybody in the UFC, and I'm just like, don't they pay you a lot of money?
Yeah, but
he don't care. He don't need that shit.
If he speaks his mind, if he thinks something is wrong, he lets him know. Alright, this has been Run It Back for Scream. I'm Jason.
I'm Sarah. You can follow us on Instagram at RunItBackPod.
It's all a movie. It's all a great big movie. Only you can't pick your genre.